Hello everyone, you are on Snail TV, a channel dedicated to movies with the most interesting stories. Today we're talking about the ironic 2019 American comedy Yes God Yes, starring Natalia Dyer. Let's go! Alice, who attends a Catholic school, is bored in her sex education class. The preacher teacher alerts the kids who are at the height of puberty on the sinfulness of all sex, except for just the act in a formal marriage specifically aimed at convincing a child. God sees everything, and for lust and lust all perverts are waiting for hellfire. The girl returns home and then enters a not yet so huge, but wildly popular among young people, internet. Remember, the events of the film takes place in the distant 2000s year. Suddenly, the heroine receives a letter from a stranger, with the nickname Harry Chest 1956, apparently the lecturer of 44 years. Attached to the email is an erotic photo of him and his wife engaged in what the Christian school considers a sin. A stranger offers a puritanical girl, oh my, to have virtual sex. Inexperienced in such matters, Alice enters into an erotic fantasy correspondence during which she gets really turned on. Her first independent intimate experiment is cruelly screwed up by the heroine's mother, who calls her daughter to dinner. After the weekend, Alice gets in the car with her best friend Laura, then learns a wild rumor about herself. She allegedly steered the salad with a classmate Wade at a recent party. In 20-year-old teen slang, that means alternating a ham, butt, and oral contact several times in one intercourse. This gossip spreads instantly throughout the school. At lunch, a naive girl out of habit with pleasure licks foil from his favorite chocolate dessert, then causes an explosion of laughter from the guy sitting next to him. It is understandable. The association is straight as a ruler from the teacher of drawing. Throughout the school is rumored Kirkus Recreation Center, visiting which the participants receive a special pendant. But as a conspiracy, Stubborn is silent about what happened there. Intrigued beyond belief, Alice and her best friend Laura wait for the weekend and go to that weekend camp together. By the way, their classmate Wade, the protagonist of a vulgar school gossip about sex with the heroine, is also headed there. The Catholic retreat is located on the shores of a beautiful lake. It is run by Father Murphy, their high school principal, and his assistant, handsome Chris, the star of the high school soccer team. Seeing a pumped-up guy with hairy arms, the heroine fell in love. The innocent girl's first ever sexual fantasy took shape in her head. Her hormones kicked up a storm, adding the right amount of heat, and her brain hung over. But as they say, we don't have to explain it to you. Alice meets Nina, at whose cabin she will spend the 4 days. She hides her cell phone, which sounds plausible since it's from September 2000s, when a cell phone and talking on it cost about a Boeing Fender. When the school holiday campers are assigned, it turns out that Alice and Laura will be on different teams. However, an event happens that completely overlaps the negative of this. The group which gets our heroine, led by none other than a soccer player Chris, to put it in modern terms, crush girls. At night, the heroine cannot sleep, so she decides to secretly play Python on his Nokia, as vulgar as it may sound. In order not to go bust, because cell phones in the camp is strictly forbidden, Alice sets the cell phone to vibrate. Suddenly, the young sinner realizes that thanks to the vibration, you can play with the phone and, in an adult way. But the crucifix on the wall opposite negates all the intimate mood of naughty. In the morning, during a walk in the woods, the sly girl pretends to stumble so that her crush is distracted from the rival, a cute blondie from the parallel class. The soccer player picks up the heroine in his arms to carry her to the infirmary, while Alice literally swoons in pleasure. Nina, the mulatto in charge of housekeeping, accidentally discovers the heroine's illegal cell phone and then turns her into the principal with her guts. Murphy's father orders Alice to work as a cleaning lady as punishment. The girl discovers the camp director's computer with internet access, then unable to resist the temptation, enters her favorite chat room and engages in a new erotic correspondence. The next day, over breakfast, the base director, Kirkus, tells the students that he discovered someone else's lewd messages on his computer. Murphy's adds, God sees everything, after which he says he expects a confession and repentance from the sinner who has committed such an abomination. After lunch, Alice labors again as a janitor to work off her screw-up with a cell phone. The windows of the car wash overlook a hidden location, with the result that the heroine observes how their supposedly saintly counselor, Nina, and the fellow curator who should be at the meeting are not at all talking. The mulatto's mouth, morality champion, haha, is occupied by, something else entirely, and it's not a microphone. From the spontaneous act of voyeurism, Alice becomes highly aroused, after which she begins to release the sexual tension with a mop handle. The moment of release is cruelly ruined by an old nun, well, absolutely not in time to want tea. The heroine tells her best friend about the lecherous curator, but she does not believe the dirt on Nina, because she considers her almost the ideal of virtue. Laura says she convinced that the sex chat in Murphy's father's office is Alice's doing, and that she no longer wants to be ashamed of her friendship with a pervert. So that's what real female friendship is like. Pardon the sarcasm. The heroine comes up with a setup. She puts the weight bracelet she found under the Recreation Center director's computer keyboard, then hides in the back room. Watching from behind a half-open door, she makes a shocking discovery. The supposedly infallible Father Murphy, alone with himself, doesn't even mind working his fist under the strawberry on the monitor. The girl meets Chris, who notices that there is clearly something wrong with her, after which he offers to talk. Alice can't handle her feelings anymore, so she kisses her handler in a mature way, trying to get her naughty tongue in deeper. Chris runs away, as if in shock, but the fiercely protruding tights are definitely not going to lie. At night, a sad Alice walks outside Kirka's territory and stumbles upon a roadside bar. She enters the establishment, sits down at the corner, then orders a wine cocktail. An unfamiliar woman in a biker jacket strikes up a conversation with the heroine. It turns out that before she was 12, she too was an ardent Catholic, afraid of God's punishment. However, strict, often illogical prohibitions forced her to leave to study away from here and eventually become a normal person. A motorcyclist, who turns out to be the owner of the bar, takes a soothed, slightly drunk Alice back to the camp. As partying, she advises the heroine to choose a good college on the opposite coast from their overly religious town. On the fourth, final day of her stay at Kirka's Recreation Center, the girl sees that her bracelet setup is a success. Principal Murphy calls a wait to the carpet. Laura sits down with the heroine like nothing happened, then asks for forgiveness, because now everyone at camp says that their classmate was to blame for the sex chat incident, especially since gay correspondence has been found on the computer. Here Alice herself falls apart. Wade meets his girlfriend as a distraction. They have never even kissed. The heroine realizes that this little leecher himself started the rumor about having sex with her at the party, just to make sure to deflect any suspicion that in fact he only likes manly, muscular guys. So what? You can help what the pepper, pardon me, the heart wants. The school bus takes the boys back to their hometown. A couple of days later, after Sunday prayers, the heroine, on the advice of a roadside bar owner, Googles colleges located away from home. At school, Alice accidentally meets her former guidance counselor, Chris. The guy averts his eyes embarrassedly, but the girl suggests that we forget the kissing and erection incident and become friends, to which he happily agrees. During another confession to Father Murphy, the heroine hints that she burnt him, a hypercritical leecher, for frantic self-satisfaction. He jumps off. He says that every man's personal sin is a matter between him and God. After this conversation, Alice, with a light heart and clear conscience, starts her favorite movie Titanic at home, rewinds a videotape to the most erotic moment, then, now absolutely unashamed of herself, runs her naughty hand into her panties. Suddenly, the young lover of voluptuous pleasures finds her eyes on the vibrating massager. After twisting this interesting device in her hands, she comes up with a very, very good idea. That's all for today. Tune in to Snail TV and don't forget to like it to stay tuned for more videos. See you soon.